Hello and welcome to the National Leadership Briefing. My name is Doug Sharp and I will be your host for today. Well, thank you for making the quality decision to join us here on January 5th, 2024 for the very first National Leadership Briefing of the year. I'm genuinely excited to be here today because I just have this feeling like 2024 is going to be us, you and I, getting together, seeing all of these opportunities and threats and being all prepared and ready to greet them and meet them on the road ahead. And that feels good. That feels good when you've actually put in the work ahead of greeting an opportunity or defending against a threat and being prepared to meet it. So that's what we're going to do here today. We're going to continue to help you do things like grow your local sphere of influence, be more effective in communicating your views and values to others. We've got all sorts of things to cover here today, but I first want to thank you for making that choice to join us. If you are brand new on the briefing, if someone has invited you to join us here today, or you've just discovered us yourself on social media, thank you for sticking around. They're 1 hour, once a month, and we spend every minute of that hour focused in on very specific things. We don't distract ourselves with local news stories and all of these other things that might be covered in other media outlets. We are not the media. We're here to drill and train and prepare to meet opportunities and threats on the road ahead and to advance the principles that undergird four very specific principles or pillars, we call them. We work to advance those into society, culture, politics, and government. And it does. It takes work. No lie. It's going to take some work. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's go over the agenda and see what it is we've got. First of all, I want to do just some language training and just review some terms that you might have heard before, or you maybe are familiar with, or maybe you might hear them on the road ahead. I just want to make sure that when we hear language used, that we're all thinking about it as the same thing. So there's no confusion. So we're going to just go over a few terms that are out there that we need to define in a unified way on our team. So the second thing is I want to spend a little bit of time navigating on the internet and helping you to see how easy it is to find various information that you're going to need on the road ahead as well. So as we go further into the briefing, you're going to see why that's important, but you are going to need to be able to search for specific information and help others do the same. So we're going to spend a little bit of time there on the internet, and I'm just going to navigate with you and show you my screen on that. Okay, then we're going to move into the boardroom for a very exciting time, because what I want to do today is I want to record a brand new segment that we're going to call the NLB Fly Over, which is short for the National Leadership Briefing Flyover review. It just gives you a review of everything that the National Leadership Briefing is about so that you can share that brief video with others and encourage them to join us on the briefing and to join you in your work locally to advance your views and values. So that we're going to record in the boardroom. And then what we're going to do is go into a role-playing and training segment that's going to help us to accomplish things like setting our posture appropriately for meeting with candidates or members of parliament or local school board trustees, where we're just going to do a little bit of role-playing, and I'm going to be showing you some things on the board that might help you sort of understand and frame your mind better before you go into these moments in time where you're going to do things like negotiate for platform with community leaders or with elected officials or candidates that want to be elected officials. We want you to be equipped to be able to effectively communicate it, what it is that you need from them. And so we're going to spend some time in the boardroom doing that. And then we've actually got some events that I want to make sure we've got on the calendar for the year. This is January 5th. But on the year ahead, we have some events. I want you to pencil them in your calendar, because if there's a way for you to join us or to attend these events as they pop up, we're going to constantly be putting these things onto your calendar throughout the year and encourage you to participate, because we believe it'll help you grow. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to do some language training. We're going to do some navigation. We're going to record a brand new video, and we are going to do some role playing and training in the boardroom that'll help you on the road ahead, and then finish up with some announcements of some events that are coming. So thank you for joining us today. Let's get right into it. We got a lot to cover, so we'll get started right after this video. Okay, let's get started. Reviewing a few terms. Language does matter. It's important that we use language that is not confusing. I want to make sure that it's clear that when we use terms here on the National Leadership Briefing, that it's not jargon, it's not industry speak, that it's easily understood, because I'm hopeful that you'll take this information and share it with others. I'm hopeful that you're going to take the National Leadership Briefing and encourage other people to join, and language should not be a barrier. So I want to be crystal clear when it is we use terms like the ones that I'm going to share with you today and just go over with you today. First of all, we refer to the rally points of the National Leadership Briefing. They are the things that we come together around when we're on the briefing. Now we say, look, we're going to rally around these things, and we're going to put all the other things aside, because there's lots of things that we differ on, but we do share some things in common. So we're going to rally around these things. Now, rally points are expressed in terms and using words and language, and we've tried to use our rally points to use very plain and simple language, because we don't want anybody to misunderstand what it is that we're working to advance into society, culture, politics, and government. So these are our rally points. They're the things that you told us on the National Leadership Briefing were important to you back in 2016, and they have proven, in fact, to be the key things that we should be focusing on. So hats off to all of those who participated in that original survey, because back in 2016, I don't think that we knew that these rally points were going to be as crucial as they turned out to be. Things like the authority of parents to raise their children the way they want. Now, that has really become a hot topic out there in education and in the medical community. But this first pillar is extremely important, that we rally around our common belief that parents have the right to raise their children the way we want. Now, right now in Canada, we also have come to appreciate the importance of electing only those individuals who are committed to respecting and defending our right of belief and freedom of religion. In Canada, over and over again, we have seen examples where elected officials do not rise up in defense of our right of belief when it is under attack in our country. And that has turned out to be critically, it's imperative that they do that. So we want to be very careful as we execute our strategies, especially around election time, that we are identifying those people who will truly defend our right of belief and freedom of religion. The third rally point here, the prioritizing of the vulnerable people when you pass laws and enact policies. We have seen thousands and thousands of people who have suffered and died as a result of the euthanasia legislation. What was originally intended to be something that was going to alleviate the pain at the end of life has now become very common in our country for other uses. And so this is an example of laws and policies not prioritizing vulnerable people in our communities. And so we want to advance that. We want to rally around that point and advance it into society, culture, politics, and government. And finally, the last rally point that we rally around here on the briefing here is the principle of fiscal responsibility expressed as the fourth pillar like this. It says that it's inappropriate for civil government to heap debt upon the backs of our children and future generations. Now, the reason we express it that way is because we want to bring attention to the fact that as civil government spends money today and borrows it or prints money, that what they're in fact doing is that they're putting off that debt and giving it to our children to pay back in the form of taxes. So all of our children are going to be bond servants of civil government. So we today rally around fiscal responsibility as a point and work to advance it into the conversations at election time as a group. So that's rally points and the 4 pillars, and the principles are underneath them. That's why it is that we have identified these things, because these are the key battlegrounds in our society, in our community right now. The second thing I want to just clarify is you hear me talk about politics and government. Some people really actually believe it's the same thing. And I just want to clarify something for you, is that politics is actually just the process by which we transfer authority to civil government to establish a civil government at election time. So when I say we're going to engage in something political, it is not something that only the people who are politically minded or feel that they're called to politics. It's not that. No, it's every citizen's responsibility to engage in a process that would establish a civil government that would then pass laws and policies that could, in fact, like infringe upon the authority of parents, disrespect our right of belief, harm the vulnerable, or burden our children with additional debt. That's everybody's interest and responsibility to engage in that process. So please don't shy away or turn away or think you can just tune me out when I refer to an opportunity we have to engage in a political process, because I'm speaking about an opportunity for us to advance the things that we believe in into the establishing of a new civil government, whether it's the federal government, municipal government, provincial government, or even a school board or a local parents advisory council. These are all forms of government that are established by political means. So that's the difference between politics and government. All right, so I just want to be clear on that, because it is something that we're going to be talking about on the road ahead. We'll leave it there for now, and there'll be lots more drilling and training about that, of course, at the end of the year. We're going to go into the boardroom, but for now, let's just leave it there and move on. Right after this video, we're going to go into the next group, which is I'm going to navigate on the internet and show you how you can find certain information that's important for you to know as we move ahead in 2024. All right, back in a flash. These are the things that we believe in. First, that parents have the right to raise their children the way they want. Second, that those we elect to serve us in civil government must respect and defend our right of belief and freedom of religion. Number 3, that the laws and policies of civil government must provide for the safety and security of the citizens, especially the vulnerable among us. And number 4, that it is inappropriate to heap debt upon the backs of our children and future generations. They came from you. They're your pillars. They're the things that you believe. Okay, navigating on the internet just to find information. Here are things that we're going to need to know on the road ahead. And I could do this. I could send you out like one link that has all of the information for you, but you being able to find it yourself is really going to be helpful for you. So let's just take a look here. I'm going to just bring up a search engine. I will be using Google, but you can use anything that you want here. Okay, Google. First thing that we want to be able to find, of course, is let's look up the National Leadership Briefing. Okay, because you're going to be sharing this with people. Now, when you take a look at this, you've got all of these options here. You've got our website here, comes up right there. How to contact us, about me, our NLB archive, if you're looking for Citizen Action Group Ministries. But let's just go to the main page here, because I want to just show you how easy it is to navigate here. Now, by the way, our website is under construction. We are making some changes to it, so this will be changing, but you have arrived at nlbcanada.ca. You first thing you see there is a registration link, so you can actually bring people to this site, and people can click on that and register for the next briefing. It gives a list of all of the briefings that we've got ahead of us. There's the one today, and then we've got their name and their address. They can just enter it down in here, and they can register. Now, what does it mean registering for the briefing? Well, of course, you're going to get the link for the next briefing delivered to you. So if you're just watching this briefing today on social media and you did not receive a link, if you want to get a link directly, you can register, and you will be then sent the link ahead of the briefing so that you have it. The second thing that you're going to get, which is probably even more important, is you'll receive something called the post notes. Because we have your email address, we can then send you once a month, right after the briefing, a copy of the video of the briefing with any of the resources that we've shared while we were there for 1 hour together. So this is important. The National Leadership Briefing registration portal is right there. Now, the 4 pillars is also right here on this website. So the four pillar story is right here, and you can then share the 4 pillars with other people. You can actually even see a transcript of where the 4 pillars came from that you can talk about with your friends as a tool to help you grow your sphere of influence. Remember, spheres of influence are grown by people identifying other people who share their views and values. Those are the people that you're going to have influence with in your community, are people who share your views and values. So this 4 pillar story tells us where the 4 pillars came from. That's the parental authority, right of belief, freedom of religion, protecting the vulnerable, these things on the plaque behind me. All of these things came from somewhere. This is the story of where they came from. All right, so that's the 4 pillars. Now, we also have a menu tab here called the NLB Essentials. That's the National Leadership Briefing Essentials. What that references are 4 training videos that we encourage you to watch as soon as you start coming on the briefing. There's the Horizon training video, which talks about how we look on the horizon for opportunities and threats. There's the You training video, which stresses the importance and focuses in on the importance of the fact that you are the key and the center of this entire exercise. What you do and how you conduct yourselves and move forward and grow your own sphere of influence is what it's all about. So that's a great video. The Sphere Authority training video talks about the various forms of governments and how they can work together or should work together, and how we can help protect ourselves from a bloating of government. And then, of course, the 4 pillar video. So those are the 4 videos under the NLB Essentials web tab, and that's how you navigate to it. Now, all these other things you can dance around the website and take a look, but I want you to make sure you can navigate to the registration link, the 4 pillar story, which are our rally points, which you talked about, and the initial training videos that you can send to other people to give them a taste as to what it is that we do here on the National Leadership Briefing. Okay, I'm going to back out again to Google, and I'm going to go to another thing that we're going to need to be able to identify locally. You yourself, when you are at your house, at home, going online, I want you to try typing in Find My MP. Find My MP is what that's. MP stands for Member of Parliament, and click on that. And what comes up is actually a link in Canada here at the House of Commons. We have a link here that you can click on called Find Members of Parliament, and it brings up a search bar that you just simply have to enter your postal code. So if I put in V2A 5K4, which is it's the post office or postal code for our office, our training center here in Penticton, British Columbia. It shows my member of parliament at the office is actually Richard Cannings. So it shows me he is politically affiliated with the NDP. His constituency is South Okanagan, West Kootenay. So that would be your local constituency would be named there in the province that you're at. It also shows him where he sits in the House of Commons, interestingly enough. And then it actually shows how you see how it goes, roles, work, and contact. It shows the contact information for Richard Cannings, the NDP Member of Parliament for the riding that my office is in. But I want you to find out who your Member of Parliament is. Now, the reason is because we're always asking you to look for opportunities where you can advance your views and values into the conversations that take place in government and politics. Well, you've got to be able to identify where they're at, how to find them, and this is the best way to find out who your Member of Parliament is. Now, it doesn't matter if they're NDP, Liberal, or Conservative. You can still communicate your views to them, which we're going to drill and train a bit in the boardroom a little later on here. But you're still going to want to communicate to them what's important to you as a constituent in the riding that your Member of Parliament serves. So that's important. Now, you can actually also go on here and you can say, find my MLA, and then that's going to be by community. So now here, this one comes up, MLA. This is the local members of the Legislative Assembly of British Columbia. So if you click on that, you can then go in here and see all of these different communities. And if you go into, I'm going to go down to Penticton where our office is. Okay, we've got Penticton, and there you see, there is the Penticton riding that I'm in. And our member of the Legislative Assembly is Dan Ashton. So I can click on Dan Ashton's name and all of his contact information comes up here. So really important that you have these basic search skills when you're looking for, especially when you're looking to communicate what you need them to know about you and your family and your friends and your community and your sphere of influence. You need to be able to get in touch with these people. That's the best way to do it, is through this contact page. Okay, so you can now find the NLB Canada website. You can find the information for registering for the website on the website and registering for our next briefing. You can also find the NLB Essentials training videos that you could share with others. And you can also get that 4-pillar story, so we're crystal clear on the things that we rally around here on the National Leadership Briefing. Now, the Find My MP and Find My MLA, these are our elected representatives. This information here is just a tip of the iceberg that's available out there. If you have any information you can't find by searching it on the internet, please get in touch with us at the office. No question is a bad question. Please don't hesitate. president@familyaction.ca, president@familyaction.ca. Any question you have, I'd be happy to help there. So please get in touch with us. All right, let's take a break here, and then we're going to head over into the boardroom where we are going to record a video. We're going to record a National Leadership Briefing flyover video that you can share with your friends, and we're going to send it out in a separate link as well, that you can take that video and invite others to join us for the next briefing. So we'll do that, and then we'll get into a little role playing, because we have some work to do on the road ahead, and I want to make sure as we drill and train and do some role playing that might be helpful for you in preparing your approach to local meetings that you might be having, or getting together with elected officials, or just communicating to family members about what it is that you're doing. All right, hope that's helpful for now, but let's jump into the boardroom right after this quick video. Bye for now.
It's time to wake up from our slumber
and stand together, united as one. One family, one body, one church.
We will not walk past the vulnerable.
Say nothing, do nothing, and turn a blind eye.
We are citizens of a great nation.
We are good Samaritans to our neighbors. You are not alone.
We are the largest unified voice in Canada. So we stand united. This is our rally cry. We are Christ to our nation. This is our battle cry. He shall have dominion from sea to sea and from the river unto the ends of the earth. Righteousness will reign. Justice will prevail. We are united.
Okay, well, it's good to be back in the boardroom and the first time in 2024. Thanks for joining us. All right, so what we're going to do here today, two things. We want to record a video that you can share with friends and family and people that you feel share your views and values so that they can be encouraged to join us on the National Leadership Briefing and add their voice to ours so we could speak more effectively and with greater volume when it comes time. We also want to make sure that when we're in the boardroom today, we do a little role playing. So let's record the video first that you can share with others. And the working title of the video is the National Leadership Briefing Fly Over video, because it's going to be a overview of everything that we do here on the briefing, so that gives people a sense as to what it is that we're doing, how we're doing it, and hey, should I even check this out? We just want you to have a tool that you can have in your hands that you can share about. Aside from, of course, remember the NLB Essentials videos that you can already share. So let's get started there first and then do the role playing right after. All right? So let's get started here with the video. Now, again, there'll be minimal edits. You know me, I don't like to break up the videos, but we'll try and clean it up for you here. But you'll have this by the end of the day in your inbox if you receive the post notes, okay? All right, well, welcome to the National Leadership Briefing. Someone has shared this video with you today because you are someone they believe shares their views and values. And why is that important? Is because we've discovered that when one person speaks, it does make a sound. But when two people say the same thing at the same time, it makes a greater sound. And we have discovered that in this culture that we're in today, that we need to stick together and speak in a unified way, especially when it comes to the things that represent our Christian beliefs, our principles, the principles that we want to live by as Christians here in Canada. We definitely are going to have a louder voice if we speak in a unified way in advancing these things into society, culture, politics, and government. So this is what we're doing here today. As someone has shared this video with you, or maybe I've sent it out directly from the office, because I really believe that you believe some of the same things we do and might want to join us once a month for 1 hour on the National Leadership Briefing, where you and I'll touch base and we'll drill and train and look for opportunities where we can advance these things. Like I say, we can advance the things that we believe in into these conversations that are taking place all the time, all around us here in Canada. So let's start first with who it is we are and what it is that we believe. First of all, these four pillars that are represented here beside me on the sheet of paper, these are the things that we call rally points. We rally around these because we want to make sure that when we come together, you and I, we're not taking a look at all of our differences, where you and I aren't looking at each other and go, well, wait a second, I don't know, what denominational church stream are they in, or where does that guy go to school, or how old is he, or what color are you? We don't want anything. There's nothing's going to divide us, because what we're doing is we're actually only focusing on the goal of advancing the principles that undergird these four pillars. Now let's test it out to see if you're somebody who shares our views and values when it comes to the principles here. First of all, the first pillar regarding parental authority is expressed in a very specific way. It's very simple, but it's explicit. It says that parents have the right to raise their children the way they want, period. This doesn't mean that the state or government can come in and raise your children for you. It is the parents' responsibility, and the parents want to raise their children themselves. They don't want to be directed or told what their children are to believe or be taught by, say, radical education systems provincially, just picking an example. So if you're somebody that believes that parents have the right to raise their children the way they want, there you go. You check that box, you are definitely someone who would be at home here on the National Leadership Briefing. The second thing is that we believe that when we elect an official to government, to represent us in government, that person must respect and defend our right of belief and freedom of religion. So how often have you felt that someone in office has done something where you went, wait a second, why is it that they're speaking that way about people of faith? And you can sort of sense their anti-Christian bigotry or their bias against Christians. We hear it, and it's subtle at times, but we want to make sure that people, when they get into office before they're elected, actually commit to respecting and defending our right of belief and freedom of religion as Christians here in Canada. As a matter of fact, all people's right of belief and freedom of religion we want to have respected. The third pillar here is that we believe that when laws and policies are enacted and passed by civil governments, that the priority is placed on the safety and security of the citizen, especially the vulnerable that live among us in our communities. So if you're somebody who wants to see vulnerable people prioritized when lawmakers are making laws and passing legislation, then you will fit right in with our crowd, because that's what we work to do. The final pillar is that we believe that there has been an excessive debt placed on the backs of our children and future generations by civil governments spending money that we don't have. And so what we want to see is we want to see civil government begin immediately removing that burden of debt off of the backs of our children so that they are not living their entire lives as bond servants of civil government. We want them to be free to live their lives without that yoke of taxation weighing heavily on their backs. So these are the four pillars: parental authority, right of belief, freedom of religion, protecting the vulnerable, and lifting the burden of debt off of the backs of our children. So if you believe in those things, then we would really like you to join us here on the National Leadership Briefing and add your voice to ours. Now, how do we do that? How do we actually speak? Well, first of all, we actually start on one end and we look out on the horizon and we see way off in the future and we see what those opportunities are. Where can we speak with a unified voice? Well, we have elections coming up. We have opportunities to speak locally on issues, like an issue might come up in the House of Commons or even in your municipal council. You could do it on any different number of opportunities, but we at the National Leadership Briefing are looking nationally at these issues while you are using the horizon to look at things locally. So that's the way we do it. And then we use the immediate road ahead of us to prepare the plan to greet that opportunity or to defend against the threat that might be coming at us in the future. So that is how we do it, is always looking off on the horizon, not focusing right in the mud and the weeds of today. We don't open up the newspaper on the National Leadership Briefing and see what the headlines are and talk about what happened in the House of Commons today. We only look on the horizon and prepare to take action that we can see we're going to need to deal with off in the future. Okay? Now, how is it that you yourself is going to engage with us in the execution of this plan? Well, first of all, we start with you. It's all about you, in fact. And what we're going to encourage you to do is that whatever it is that you do and you feel God's call has called you to do, that you pursue that. We're not trying to take you off and drag you out onto another battlefield somewhere else in the nation. We want you to stay exactly where you're at and serve you there. Now, when the opportunity comes up for you to lend your voice to a national issue on the National Leadership Briefing, say an election or a campaign, something we're running, then we want you to speak with us in a unified way. But for the most part, you are operating locally where God wants you to be. That's what that arrow is right there, is we want you aligned exactly where God wants you to be. We also want you to, and these arrows here, we want you to become aware, and we're going to help you learn this, is we want you to be aware of your authorities that you have as a citizen, as a constituent, as a member of the kingdom of God, and as a political party member. Like if you wanted to take on a party membership and have additional authorities, we want to make sure we show you how to do that and when those opportunities arise. So those are your authorities. We also want you to ally yourself laterally with people who share your views and values. And that's what someone has done today, is they've looked out in their community and said, you are like me. We believe in the same things, I'm guessing. And I believe that if we all work together, we could probably be more effective. So that's what that is. We're looking for alliances, allies locally, so that you can grow what is called, what we term, your sphere of influence. That sphere of influence is key, because me, Doug Sharp, here in the training center in Penticton, British Columbia, doesn't have the same connection points as you do within your sphere of influence. So we're asking you to allow us to help you then take the information you get and then pass it out to others, so that other people who share your views and values and maybe agree with some of these same things could also join and add their voice to yours and ours nationally. So that's growing your sphere of influence. We want to teach you how to do that. We also want to help you develop something called a citizen action group ministry within your local church. Now, this is something that we always ask people to just tap the brakes for now. Just don't go running out and start it right away, because there's definitely a way that we like to start them, and that is with the full control and awareness and approval of the church leadership. So we want the pastor or church leader or clergy of the church to be welcoming of the idea of having a citizen action group ministry within the church. Which is this: it is a ministry that is designed to help the pastor and the leadership navigate when things get complex on the governmental or political landscape of our nation. And pastors have experienced that just recently over the last couple of years in a big way. And so we want to be there to have that infrastructure in your local church to help them navigate. Okay? Tell you more about that later. We also want to be able to help you contribute to the building of something called a community action council within your local church and community. This is a group of people who believe in the things that you do, working with marketplace leaders and municipal government leaders on dealing with the issues of the community. So that's a community action council. And then finally, we want to encourage you to learn how it is to grow the national leadership briefing, so that we can develop more tools and grow our reach even greater, so that when your voice is added to ours, we're adding other voices, and we can all continue to speak with a unified voice in a big way and have greater influence. It's all about increasing our influence. So I'm hoping that what we've done today is introduced you, just with a real quick flyover to the National Leadership Briefing. We've introduced you to something that is possibly going to be able to serve you and your needs in your local community, at the same time increasing our influence nationally. So please consider joining us on the National Leadership Briefing. We'd love to have you. I'm going to attach a link in the bio below, and I'm going to make sure that you're always going to be able to have access to me by giving you my email address right now. It's president@familyaction.ca. That's president@familyaction.ca, and you'll be able to actually send me an email at any time, and I'll be able to respond to you and help you get your sphere of influence growing, and so that you locally can advance the principles that undergird these 4 pillars on the road ahead. Anyway, thanks so much for your time today. Appreciate it. We'll chat with you again soon, but until then, God bless you, God bless your family, and may God continue to bless this great nation of Canada. Bye for now. Okay, so that's just a video. I'll cap it off, and that this is something you can share. But I maybe you could get on. Maybe you can get on the camera, and you can say, "Hey, look, here's a little intro video. I want to send it up, or I want to send this over to you." Whatever it is that you want to do, just know that we're there to support you in any action that you want to take. But you got to let us know what you need by getting in touch with me. Again, president@familyaction.ca. I'm happy to help with in whatever way we can. Now, we're going to get into some role playing, but I got to clean up the board behind me. So give me a minute. I'll start this video, and then we'll do some role playing to help you tackle some of the things that we're working on here on the briefing. You might have remember it from last briefing. We're talking about negotiating for platform. We're talking about meeting with your local candidates. We're talking about arranging candidate interviews, all that kind of stuff. We want to make sure that you have that information. So we'll be right back after this video. Okay, now before we get started with this next segment, I want to just cap off last segment there. You might have noticed that making that video wasn't perfect. I didn't do it perfectly. There's lots of mistakes and stuff, but the one thing that I really would like to encourage you to do is try not to wait for things to be perfect for you to step out and take action. A lot of folks, they kind of get frozen in time, kind of trying to perfect their approach, or, sometimes you just got to jump out there and make a mess and we'll clean it up later type of thing. So please take that imperfect video, try it out, share with a few people, and then if you find out it's just not working, then maybe you could try making your own video. You could try sending something out yourself, encouraging people to come on the National Leadership Briefing or to join your sphere of influence or to come around you. It's something you can do too. So anyway, I'll just leave that with you. Don't wait till it's perfect before you take action, because it's never going to be perfect. So, all right, next segment here we're going to do is we want to get into role playing here. Again, keeping it light, making sure we're having a good time, because role playing, sometimes you get all tightened up and stuff, especially if you now take it yourself and go and try it out on other people. You want to be as relaxed as possible. So let's take a look at role playing, but we'll do it through the lens of having a good time. All right. First of all, what are we going to accomplish here? We want to build your sphere of influence. That's what it is. We want to put a tool in your hand. By role playing, we want you to be more comfortable about approaching people who might share your views and values and encouraging them to add their voice to yours locally, right? And then also the National Leadership Briefing. And then we also want to then engage with candidates and political leaders to communicate what it is we require of them to earn our support at election time. So negotiating for platform is really just a way of saying we want to go meet with people and say, this is what I believe, and if you want my support, this is what you're going to have to do. That's negotiating. Some people think at election time, you're just supposed to go and shop off of a menu and look at this big list of all the candidates and who they are and what they believe and pick the best of the worst. Not us. We want to get in there and negotiate with the candidates. We want to get in there and talk to them and say, look, this is what I believe. What do you believe? What can you do for me? I'm looking for someone to vote for. I want to negotiate with you for my support, because you've got something of value to them. And I'm going to show you how to identify that. First, let's start though with building your sphere of influence. Again, you are the center of your sphere of influence. You're the only one that can conduct this exercise of actually communicating with them and encouraging them to come alongside you and you working together. So you're the one that has to do it. So if you decide not to do it, not to take this role-playing exercise and put it into practice, nobody may ever talk to your friends and your family and people in your sphere of influence. So you really are the one. So how do you do that? First of all, remember, we want you to stay where you're supposed to be. So if you haven't already got on your knees and prayed to God that Jesus would birth a vision in your heart as to where you're supposed to be, you need to do that first. You need to make sure that you are doing what God wants you to do. And the only way to do that is to check upstairs and make sure. So do that and then stay in that place. Let us come to you, right? That's how it works. Now, you locally, though, in that place, have a lot of people just like you. And the role-playing exercise of building your sphere of influence really is just identifying who those people are. So if you're a little bit frustrated with current government, that might be a question you might want to ask somebody else around you is, hey, do you have any frustration about kind of the direction our governments are going, like federal, provincial, municipal? Do you have any frustration around that? And they'll go, yeah, I do. I go, yeah, me too. And then you want to ask them more questions to find out more about whether they're aligned. So do a little discovery with them by asking them some questions that you might have asked yourself to see if they're aligned with you. Now, you also, though, want to get as soon as you can to the principles that undergird the four pillars and run them by them. Run these pillars by them. And the reason is because remember, the success that we've achieved is because we've disciplined ourselves into setting the things that we differ on aside and focus on just advancing these principles here. So you may have a lot of things you disagree with from the person, that's fine, but can we agree that parents have the right to raise their children the way they want? Is that something that you believe is of interest to you as a parent? They're going to say yes or no. They're going to tell you. And then ask them to tell you a little bit about it, some of the concerns. So trying to figure them out a bit, because you're going to be in a relationship with these people. You might as well get to know them as soon as possible. The second pillar, do you believe that once somebody gets elected to civil government, that they should respect our right of belief and freedom of religion? Or if we get attacked, shouldn't they defend it? As our elected representatives, do you want them to rise up in defense of our right of belief and freedom of religion? And of course, that's for everybody, not just Christians. Or what about vulnerable people? Do you have a heart for the vulnerable locally? Like, ask these questions. And what we've got are tools like the Personal Network Survey that you can actually use as a crib note to kind of guide your questions. But if you write down your own questions in the beginning, by asking those questions, you will find out if they are aligned. And then at the end, all you simply say is, well, you know what? There's a group of people across the country who have gotten together and are continuing to get together, who want to advance these same things that you care about. Would you be interested in finding out more about that and hooking up with us? Because I attend a meeting once a month for 1 hour. It takes no time at all. And I get all these great ideas about how I can advance these principles and talk to different elected officials or whatever you want to say. But the reality is that these things, if they say that they're aligned with these things, then you can serve them by helping them to connect up with your local activities, whatever it is that you want to do. And again, we're always going to be giving you suggestions on what you can do. So you'll never run out of those ideas. So that's the recommendation we're going to make on building your sphere of influence. Go in there, ask questions, then explain a little bit about the National Leadership Briefing, and then share a video with them or two. Go on the National Leadership Briefing website, send them the link or send them the videos and just say, look, watch a couple of videos and see what happens. But this group is getting together and we got activity. It's like popcorn. Popcorn is popping all over Canada when it comes to parental authority, right of belief, protecting the vulnerable, and relieving the debt off the backs of our children. We are talking about it to the degree where it is actually a topic of discussion and action is being taken as a result of it. So you can tell them, you join us, hook up with us, and we'll do stuff. We're busy. We're actually getting things done. Okay, so that's building your sphere of influence, is asking questions and identifying the points of agreement and then inviting them to see more information. Now, the second one is negotiating for platform. Now, I want to say one thing about this to preface this. Some people believe that when it comes to politics or the political processes that actually result in governments being formed, some people do believe that they are not supposed to engage in that. They believe that that's for somebody else to do. Well, the problem is that as an individual person in your role, you are a citizen with authority to choose governments. So if you are a parent, you are also a citizen of Canada, and you have the authority to help choose the government that's going to make the laws regarding the authority that you have as a parent. So I encourage you that if you don't think that choosing government is in your lane as a parent, there are offices of government filled all across the nation at all levels of bureaucrats that are working out plans to raise your children without your participation. They are engaging in plans and building plans to remove you from the equation of raising your children. They think, as a matter of fact, in many cases, you'll find they think your ideas are outdated and hateful and bigoted, and they want to separate your children from you. And I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm just telling you, I know these people. I've talked to them. They genuinely believe that it's not a problem separating a child from their parents to help the children have a better life than the one that you're training them to have. So you are definitely engaged. If you're a pastor and you're thinking that That's not my lane. Engaging in politics, talking to politicians, all that stuff. Well, that politician is going to be forming the new government that is going to be dealing with issues that are of interest to your church family, and maybe even directly impact your church family in a negative way or a positive way. And you get to choose or help choose the government. So there are reasons for all of these groups and individuals to be engaged in the conversation that I'm encouraging you to take now. So let's talk about negotiating for platform. Again, that's negotiating with a candidate or an incumbent member of parliament who wants to get reelected, and negotiating with them for your support. So they want your vote, you're a pastor, and you are saying, great, you want my support, that's fantastic. These are the things that I believe in. But again, I'm encouraging, if you've got a group of parents together, or a group of pastors and their church family, or a group of marketplace leaders, and then you sit down with a candidate and you ask these questions, then it'll be that much more powerful. So think about it in those terms too. Gathering a group of people together and saying, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you coming by. I just wanted to ask you your views on the authority of parents to raise their children the way they want without government interference. What do you think about that? Tell us a little bit about that. Could you please share, that type of thing? Or the second thing is that as our elected representative, we would very much like to know if you are going to respect our right of belief and freedom of religion. And if our right of freedom and freedom of religion is attacked, will you stand and defend it? That is a real important question for it. And what kind of commitments can you make with regard to these issues? Like, can you make a commitment statement? I don't want to promise. I want a commitment statement. And so in a very respectful tone, in a very pleasant conversation, you and your entire church family, if you're a pastor, you can put like 650 people in the sanctuary and put the candidate on stage and say, hey, we all believe that parents have the right to raise our children the way they want. And these guys are all constituents, by the way. They all live in the riding and they're all going to vote for somebody. But I just wanted to ask if, what's your view on parental authority? So this is kind of the situation, that the role playing that I'm suggesting right now. It can be totally pleasant, and it can be really friendly, and it can be really it can be very hospitable. That they can have a good time. But the bottom line is that unless you get commitments from them as to what kind of a person they're going to be in office and what they're going to do in office, then you make it clear to them that you can't vote for them. Like, I need commitments. We need to know. It's critical times we live in. We need to know. I'm a retiree. I need to know what your plan is for fiscal responsibility. I'm on a fixed income, or I'm a professional. Our professional association has great interest in how you conduct yourselves and how you prioritize the care of the vulnerable. So anyway, these types of things can be taken, be very relaxed, but at the same time, be very firm. So I encourage you to do that as well. So that's building your sphere of influence, asking a lot of questions, and negotiating for a platform. Try to do it in groups, please, because you'll find it's much more effective. All right, I hope that was helpful. We're going to head back to the desk here. I've got a couple of things I want to wrap up with here, and a couple of events that are coming up to tell you about, and I've got some gifts to make available for you as well. So stick around right to the end, and we'll chat then. Bye for now.
What business would you build if you had an infinite amount of smart people working for you for free? This is going to be a window of opportunity where things are going to so radically change that we can be part of shaping the future. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us to shape the world, so we need to ask ourselves, what do we want the world to look like? If you just take away this and you understand the implication of this for your industry, for your business, this would absolutely change your life. We're going to unlock so much human capital that now we can go and solve a lot of problems that we were previously not able to solve. We have the potential in our lifetime to find a cure for every known disease. This opportunity to change the world. Let us not be found wanting. That is the crux of AI.
Okay, well, we are on the home stretch, and that's our time for today. However, just a couple of things before we leave. That video that you just saw is Elijah Lowe, and he's also the author of this book, Navigating AI with Faith. Elijah Lowe and Joe Matera are scheduled to be now in Calgary, January 19th and 20th. It's a 2-day conference, and I'm going to include details on how you can register for that conference below and additional information as to why you would want to be there. Let me give you an example. Harmonizing your faith with the future, exploring the ethical, spiritual, and moral implications of AI. They're also going to be covering for parents an opportunity to learn more about living in an AI-empowered world as a youth. So definitely want to be there if you're in the Calgary area. Also, for those of you who are available and can make it to the National Prayer Breakfast this year in Ottawa, those dates are May the 6th and 7th. So mark that in your calendar as well. And then finally, one last thing before we go is we just want to thank everybody who participated in our partnership drive close to the end of the year last year and helped us to raise the money so we can continue our work here. We appreciate you very much. We thank you very much for your partnership. We did come up a little bit shy here. So what we're doing, just so you know, is for anybody who donates $175 or more, we're going to be sending out that gift that we offered people last year. All of these wonderful books that we have on our reading list. We always make sure that somebody gets a beautiful new book every time they donate that 175 or more. So thank you so much for considering partnering with us. Please look to the post notes today for that link where you can make your donation, or you can go to our website at familyaction.ca and you can contribute there as well. So appreciate your time. Until next time, God bless you, God bless your family, and may God continue to bless this great nation of Canada. Bye for now.